It's been a long 2-year fight that just got longer for a group of Port Arthur residents. Earlier this week, a Jefferson County judge determined his court had no jurisdiction over the claims brought by Reginald Traynor, Efren Avendano, Paul Hewlin, and Herman Legginston. They oppose the construction of affordable housing for the elderly, better known as Edison Square. Reginald Traynor joins us now to explain what's next for the group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie. Glad to be here.
First, let's go back. Let's start at the beginning, how this movement came about among you and the other gentlemen and other people in the community to stop this project, Edison Square.
Well, the project came about when the Port Arthur Independent School District, Port Arthur Independent School District decided to sell the property. When they sold the property, the neighbors really didn't have any insight about they were selling the property. So the contractor, which was ITEC, came in and bought the property. As a neighbor, I would like to know what's going on in my backyard. Now, we understood that, you know, he could put a goat farm there if he wanted to, but once he decided that he wanted to deal with HUD, housing, that became a matter for the citizens also, so we had a say in that.
And what are your concerns about this project?
Well, our main concern about the project was that the uniform of it. They wanted to build apartments in a residential district, and we're uniform with housing. So we didn't want that. Plus, the unknown is always a scary situation when you don't know what's going to be in your neighborhood. Now, if Miss Nancy or Susan or Ann was standing across the street, I would say, how you doing, neighbor? But every week somebody else is coming in, walking around your house, talking about, well, Fifi, I don't know who that person might be, you know what I'm saying? So what we wanted to do is we wanted them to let us be a part of that decision. It didn't happen that way. So when I found out, I had to call my neighbors and have a town meeting, and they decided they didn't want him. We decided we didn't want him. And we're not the only citizens or city that doesn't want that project.
That's right. This same thing is happening in China, Texas.
Well, one thing I commend China about, China came together and fought for the citizens of that area. Well, it's hard to fight a battle when you're just a few. And when they elected me as a spokesperson for that, my opportunity and my job was to fight for the citizens, not only for the citizens, but for me. I live in the neighborhood. I didn't want it. My family lived in the neighborhood. We didn't want it. So we've been going through this here battle for almost 3 years.
Wow. And the other differences with China, the mayor was against it. The newly elected mayor, as a matter of fact, he credits that with getting him in office.
Right.
Because he was against it and he felt that he was speaking for the residents of China along with all the other council members who lost their seats because of this. But in your case, this is something the city wants.
Well, in our case is that when you're an elected official, you're elected by the citizens of that area, okay, of the city of Port Arthur. And it's bad and it's sad that you have to take matters in your own hand and fight the people that you put in there. Plus spend your own hard money to fight and get you an attorney, then turn around and have to pay their attorney because you're a taxpayer. It's really a no-win situation for the citizen, and that part there is sad and it needs to change. It really needs to change because if a citizen doesn't have a voice, then why are they called citizens? You see what I'm saying? But that's going to change in November because in November the 3rd, I am running for city council. So we're going to try to make a difference. Well, we're going to make a difference, but it's going to take the voters to come out. Port Arthur hasn't had a good turnout in voting, but I understand that they see what's going on with this Edison Square thing. And it's not just the people that live in that Edison area because what affects me affects us all.
You're saying, though, that there's a small group that's fighting this. Is this because people don't want to get involved or...
No, I think the education. I think the education of it is that what they said is for a senior citizen complex. Now we could determine what's a senior citizen, because if it's from the age of 65 up, blue, or 62 up, blue. I'm 57. I'm considered a city citizen. They say, well, Mr. Traynor don't want it in this neighborhood. Now we don't have a neighborhood got $300,000-$400,000 homes, but we have a neighborhood where as though it's respected and it's ours.
We only have a little bit of time left. That's why I want to get to this final question. Where does the fight go now?
Well, the fight goes now is that we have been dismissed on that, but we filed this morning to a higher court. So we're going to continue this fight because we're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for justice. Justice says that we have a right to decide what we want in our neighborhood, especially if it's a HUD project. And I don't understand. I'm an attorney. He really fought for us, Mr. Langston, and we just knew that we might have to go back to the zoning board and get it rechanged. But to find out on the zoning board that the ones that voted in our favor was exited out at the time when we're getting ready to go to court. So even if Judge Floyd would have told us to go back to the zoning board, they had it fixed for their own self.
And you're referring to Judge Donald Floyd and the attorney, your attorney Langston Adams.
Right.
Well, we'll keep following this case, and we
Keep
appreciate you coming on to talk about it more. And we appreciate you. Thanks for watching Southeast Texas Weekly. Have a great day.
Southeast Texas Weekly, brought to you by the Modern Vein Surgery Institute at Privity Clinic for Surgical Care.